Hello and welcome to Fantasy Football Scout Stream, all about European fantasy football. Obviously, we are now through to the final match day of the entire season. We are going to be talking about England versus Italy. We're going to be talking about my team. We're going to be talking about differentials and players that we think you could get into your team. We were, of course, sponsored by Just Eat, and you could see just to the next to me. I couldn't get it on the full screen, so I just had to put it next to me while I awkwardly sat here. So cheers for joining us, guys. We have got Oliver Dino in the chat. I have seen you, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. And Feta Riccidi is in the chat as well. So obviously we are going into the last match day and we only have two teams that we can pick from, Italy and England, and it is going to get quite tricky thinking about how we're actually going to pick our teams and try and still go up through the ranks, because that's what's going to be quite tricky going forward. Kev Max in the chat, evening all. We've got Underbele saying who is the best captain. I'll get to that in a minute, mate. Rio Wang saying hi as well. Now, this is how my team is looking going into the final. So I've used all 5 of my transfers. I used 5 transfers and that was it. I didn't do a hit last week and I didn't do 2, but I got about 36 points, which isn't awful, but there you go. We also had 5 transfers this week. I've taken out my 3 Spain players. Morata obviously didn't start last week, but did come on and score, so that was quite nice. What I have made sure to do, looking at my team this week, is made sure that if I did transfers for players that aren't going to be playing, I made sure it was those cash cows. I made sure it was those players that are expensive that I can then put their funds somewhere else. Lynn's in the chat. Evening, Andy. Evening, Lynn. And I just made sure I had lots of bases covered. My main thing I would say this week is think about what you think is going to happen in this game and then plan for that. It really does depend how you want to play it. If you just want to play it as, I just want to maintain rank and I just want to make sure that, I'm going to do it the exact same as everybody else, then that's absolutely fine. And if you want to do that and maintain where you are and just go with the masses, that's great. That is genuinely an actual tactic. The other option, what you could do is you could back just one team. That's absolutely fine as well. You could go all out on just England, go all out on just Italy, and hope that it's a score win and the other team doesn't do anything. That's also obviously a complete tactic you can go with as well. The other tactic is to really think about what you think is going to happen in the game and cover players that you think will be effective in that one game. So, for instance, if you think that it's going to be a complete midfield battle and it's going to be all about the strikers and all about the defenders, then go for that. If that's what you think is going to happen and focus on those transfers. Captaincy is going to be very, very big this week. There's not going to be a lot of variance, so captaincy is going to be massive. If you can get a captain banging, then great stuff. There is a lot of call for potentially captaining a defender in this week because you're more likely to get not more likely to get a return from a defender, but there is less chance of you picking the right striker or midfielder because it's a tough fixture in the final and it might be quite nervy. So picking a defender isn't the worst option. For me, I'm looking at it. Rio Wang's just put, why don't we choose Mount or Barella instead of Saka, Donnarumma instead of Pickford? I would choose Kane as captain. Yep, that's completely what I think. Basically, for me, looking at it, I have picked all the wingers. I've picked all the wide players. So Sterling, Insigne, Chiesa, Saka, Shaw and Emerson. I've picked all of those players because I think this game is going to be won in the wide areas. I think those midfield areas are going to be very congested. I feel like Phillips, if he's playing, if not, it's going to be Henderson. I feel like Rice, they're going to be making sure, and Mount as well to an extent, they're going to be making sure that those midfield players can't play for Italy. So, Verratti's most likely going to be playing, Barella's going to be playing, and Jorginho's going to be playing as well. We saw it for Spain. Spain controlled that midfield, and they were the better team in that semi-final. So I am expecting that midfield area in the very middle to be congested, and I'm expecting those wingers to actually have more of the more joy. Sterling was a complete lock in my team anyway. I already had him, and I'm putting him as captain because I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with the fact that I think that's what's going to happen. Saka played very well in the last game, got the assist as well. Obviously, he's a winger. He's going to be going off in the 70th minute, something like that, if he does play. I do expect him to play, but I just expect this to be one in the wings. And Immobile and Kane, they're the only strikers you can own in this game anyway now, so that's why they're in there. Rio's obviously asking in the chat why I haven't gone for Mount, why I haven't gone for Barella. It's literally because I've got 5 transfers and I need to make sure I've got players in all my teams. So I already had Jorginho. Barella, yes, I do really like him as an option. But for me, I went with Saka. If you had to ask me now who I think is going to win this game, I'm finding it really, really tough to think what I think is going to happen. I think that this game is going to be Italy starting strong. And if Italy can get a goal in the first half, I think we might be in trouble. But if it's 0-0 at half time, I'm going to back England to go all the way and finish and win it. Because I feel like England have got the legs. I feel like England have got the bench as well. But Italy are going to be a stronger starting team, especially at the beginning of the game. I feel like when it gets leggy, I mean, you saw Sterling in the last game. Sterling in the last game could not stop running and was just getting forward so much. So I feel like that is the way it's going to go. My biggest worry is if Italy go ahead, that's going to be it. I genuinely feel like that would be it. They manage time so well when they go ahead. And I worry for England if Italy go ahead early, personally. JC, hey Andy, how's it going? Evening, mate. Oliver, Dino, yeah, Immobile has let people down a lot. He has. I mean, he's been in my team for the whole knockout stages, so I wasn't going to get rid of a starting striker playing in the final. So that's why he's there. I would not be captaining Immobile. I don't think he's going to have a lot of joy against Maguire and Stones. Maguire and Stones have been very, very solid at the back, so that's why. Dubas, formation 3-5-2 then maybe. Yeah, that is definitely an option. It's tough for me because Jorginho, I would be playing him if I thought actually he could get a penalty in this fixture. I don't think England are going to give away a penalty. That's why I haven't got him in there. I feel like my back line has a lot of upside. Stones and Maguire could both score goals. Emerson is obviously a wing back, and I think it's going to be one on the wings. Like I said, Luke Shaw is at a great tournament, and he could get forward very, very well as well. So that is the main reason why I picked those players. Like I said, I do worry. Yes, I would love to have maybe a few more Italy defenders, but you can't have everybody. As long as you've got 11 players and you've got a captain, I think you're fine. If you've got 10, I would be struggling to take a hit this game week, personally. Because subs obviously aren't a thing anymore in terms of, yes, they are a thing, but you need to make sure that you're not wasting bench spaces. You're not wasting transfers on bench people unless you are doing your team early. I've had to lock in a little bit earlier because I'm doing the stream tonight. If I were you, I'd be waiting for the teams to come out. There is a little bit of chat about Di Lorenzo potentially playing left back and then Florenzi coming in for Emerson. If that's the case, and obviously my team's a little bit struggling already, but Jorginho will come in anyway. JC, Italy due a pen, Jorginho benched. Yeah, exactly. You know it. I said on the last stream that Jorginho was my little differential pick. Obviously, he didn't do a lot, but yeah, you know it's coming if I've said it's not going to happen now. Jack Brockenshire, evening Andy. I totally agree. My fear is Italy score first and kill the game. I hope not. Come on, England, it's coming home. I'm not allowed. I'm going to be unbiased on this stream. I've had so much criticism because I've been saying that England might do well. We've made the final. I've said they might do well all series. So what can I say? That's not me being arrogant. That's just what I thought would happen, and it's happened. So we've got to take some kind of happiness from it because I've never seen England in a final. So manager, is it safe to bank in one defence completely? Like you got a 4-1 distribution or spread the risk? It's honestly, it is up to you what you think is going to happen. I think it could be a 1-1. That is what I think will happen. I think Italy might score first, and then we're going to score in the second half. I think it would be a game of two halves like that, and then extra time will decide it, and then I think England will nick it. But it's completely up to you what you think will happen. If you think it's going to be 0-0, then obviously go for it. Obviously, you're going to be wanting 0-0 throughout the whole thing to have more than one defender from a different team in your defence. For me, it's just you've got to pick playing players, and you know, even just as playing players, they can get you 2 points. So just make sure you have those playing players. England defenders are quite expensive now, hence why I've got Emerson in there as well. But yes, I do like the idea of going just a whole back line of one country. I do like that, and I do like. I've always been an eggs in one basket kind of guy. I love the fact going because I play fan team quite a lot as well, and it's all about stacks. I have been one of those kind of guys where it's just try and get as many players in as possible from one team if it's just for 1 week, like we would do on a free hit in FPL. My team this week, I've brought in Luke Shaw, I've brought in Saka, I brought in Belotti because I needed to downgrade Morata, and obviously, that sounded kind of quite good, there's a rhyme there, because I needed to downgrade Morata to bring in more money elsewhere. I did bring in Chiesa as well because he is one of the players that I'm genuinely worried about as an England fan, and also because when you look at it, I think it's going to be one on the wing. So that's why I brought Chiesa in. Lynn B, why 4 defenders if you think both will score? Because of the upside of all those 4 defenders. So I feel like Luke Shaw can get forward and get an attack and return. I trust all of those back 4 to get an attack and return more than Jorginho, basically. That's why I've done it. So I feel like Stones and Maguire could easily score a goal. I feel like Emerson could easily get an assist. He hit the crossbar in the last game. And I feel like Luke Shaw is great in terms of his delivery, in terms of the fact he could be on a few set pieces, and the fact he's had a great tournament. So I feel like there's more upside playing those 4 than there is on Jorginho. So even if it's 1-1, it could be one of those players that gets an attack and return as well, more than I think Jorginho could get it. That's basically my way of thinking. Yeah, so that's basically where I'm going. Like I said, the other thing is as well, because I've had to lock in early, there is the chance that I get a bit mudded here and someone like Chiesa doesn't play and Berardi plays in the final. If that's the case, I do have those players to come in. I feel quite good about this team, though. I don't feel like it's that bad. I feel like as long as you've got 11, you're already one up on a few people. I've seen a few people post their teams online tonight, and they've only got like 5 or 6 players. So if you can make sure that you've got, your full 11, you should be fine. With 5 transfers, you should be fine. Luke CC, were you aware we could not make transfers in fan team for the final? My 4 teams are screwed. Yes, I was aware. We were telling people that you couldn't do that. But anyway, I won't talk about fan team because this isn't about that. Lynn, I feel like I need to get Jorginho now. Pen incoming. Very well could be. Very well could be. If you want to go against what I've said, I got him in last week because I thought, Italy haven't had a pen all tournament. Maybe there's a pen incoming, but Jorginho is there literally just for pens, I feel. Manager, yeah, I was also thinking the same. As now teams will be so similar, the only way to get a rank push is getting everybody from one defence and hope a 24 or 23 if they keep a clean sheet. Thanks. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. But just be prepared that it could go terribly wrong after a couple of minutes. So make sure you know what you're doing and make sure you're happy to do it as well. Redditor, nice team. Shout that. Emerson could be replaced. Yeah, I know. I've already brought that up. Emerson could be replaced. I've had to lock this team in early. If he doesn't play, Jorginho comes in. I'm more than happy with that. Majid, would you prioritise Mount over a 4th defender? Depends who the defender is. If the defender is a wing-back or a defender is somebody with a lot of upside, I would actually favour the defender. If it's someone like Shaw, someone like Maguire, someone like Emerson, someone like Di Lorenzo, if he does play. If not, Florenzi could be a very, very good shout if he does play. I would favour them over Mount. As I said, I feel like Mount, Phillips, if it's Phillips or Henderson, and Rice, their main job is going to be to stop Italy creating in the middle. I don't see a lot of upside onto what they're going to do. Mount isn't that bad of a shout because obviously he takes the corners, or some of the corners, especially from the right-hand side. So it's not that bad of a shout, but he hasn't had the kind of tournament where it's been all about attack and return. So for me, the upside isn't there. I would rather own somebody like Luke Shaw, Emerson, Di Lorenzo, Florenzi, people like that. And even Maguire. Maguire's had such a good tournament. He gets forward so well and he's picking balls up from the back and driving it through into midfield. So that could be something that England look to prioritise as well. He could have a tough first half, but the second half hopefully he'll come alive again like he did against Denmark. Alex Moore, 18 points behind in my mini league. Might captain Barella or Mount to make up points. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's tough between them two, and it really does depend on what you think is going to happen. I think if it was out of those two for me, I'd be going for Barella, but it's also, just bear in mind, it's based on whether you think those players are going to do better than the other players in your team. And if the answer is no, it's quite tough to pick them, isn't it? Redditor, 2 points outside of top 100. Fantastic rank, mate. Would you go differential or just try and nick those couple of points through template? I would put a few differentials in my team, I think. Mainly because you're only picking from 2 teams anyway. So teams are going to be so similar. I would potentially go for a different captain option. Kane is going to be heavily captained. Really, genuinely, he's going to be heavily captained. So anybody going away from Kane as captain, I think already you're differential. Apart from that, I think everybody's going to be just as differential as everybody else. So I think as long as you're not going on Harry Kane, then you're going to be a differential with your captain. That is me, by the way, not looking at stats before, and that's just what I'm thinking. Now, I have actually got on here the team selected by percentage of all the players based on the last stats that we saw. So this was brought up today. And I thought it was really interesting because England are very, very heavily backed. Everybody above Kyle Walker is owned by more than 40% of players. Everybody above Barella was, I think, about 30%. But it was how many starters for Italy are so low owned compared to England. You look, as soon as you get past Calvin Phillips, Grealish doesn't start games. Rashford is barely featured. Foden is now potentially injured. Trippier, I doubt he'll be playing. He might come on, obviously. But you look at that percentage difference, whereas over in Italy, you've got Barella's only 21% owned and he will be playing. Chiellini only 13% owned. Spinazzola's obviously injured. Berardi only 11% owned if he starts, which I don't see it coming. He's only 11%. Jorginho, Emerson and Di Lorenzo are all under 10% owned, and they are most likely going to be starting in this fixture. For me, if you were looking for differentials to bring in, that's where you need to be focusing. You need to be focusing on Jorginho, Emerson and Di Lorenzo. Personally, if Di Lorenzo plays 6%, lovely. If he doesn't and it's Florenzi, he's the one you need to be targeting, getting Florenzi into your team. If you feel like Italy are going to be keeping a clean sheet, brilliant. Florenzi also, because he hasn't played that much because he got injured in the first game, he is a great attacking fullback. He will get forward and he will get crosses into the box. So for me, if you wanted a real differential, I would be going for Florenzi if he is in the starting lineup. If not, Di Lorenzo at 6% is still equally as good. Mitunzi, I'm leading with 48 points in my mini league. How do I consolidate my spot? Just go completely template. Just literally go completely template. Just get, half England, half Italy, Captain Kane. Make sure you have those players that can punish you. So Kane, Sterling, Chiesa, Insigne. Make sure you have those because all of your rivals are going to have to go different. You just make sure you own those high-owned players. And 48 points, you're going to be fine, I would have thought. Monogit, Cyro has been in my team right from the start after he gave 9 and 7 in points. Yep. Differential captain option, although he is off form and gets subbed. Yeah, that is the problem with him. Whereas Kane and Sterling, they don't get subbed. Insigne even got subbed in the last game, which surprised me a bit, and Chiesa didn't. So I think if I were to go really differential, I'd really go for it. But on the other respect, like I said, if you're not going for Kane, I think you're going to be differential anyway. Kane's going to be most captained by a lot of people. I've gone for Sterling in my team because I feel like this game's going to be one on the wings, and also because I feel like he could punish Italy late on in the game, and I feel like this game is going to be massive later on in the game because England are going to have the legs. Southgate is going to save those subs until later on in the game. If you really think this game's going to be tight, Jack Grealish isn't a bad shout to get in your team. He won't start the game, but he is somebody that can come on and affect the game later on. If you feel like England are going to be either chasing or England are going to be looking to get that winner later on, he will come on. Remember, we get extra time as well. So in this official Euro game, we get extra time. So make sure that you think about the fact that maybe the subs on your bench, the ones that can come on, if you want to go a bit differential, Grealish only 11% owned. He'll be on most people's benches, I would have thought. He won't be in their starting teams. If you think that he could make an impact coming on, then go for it. Why not? Redditor, I've never capped Immobile. I think he'll be bullied and come off at 60 for Belotti. Very, very well could. Yeah, really could. And it looked like that a little bit in the last game as well, to be honest. Belotti's looked off the pace still though as well. I've not been that impressed with Belotti. I actually wanted Belotti to start instead of Immobile from the beginning, but we'll see. Bad man, Forza Italia, stop it. Yeah, obviously I'm a bit biased, aren't I, towards England? But like I said, I think Italy's the way to go if you fancy differential. James Young, who is likely to score first, do you think? Honestly, I've thought about this all week and I'm really, really struggling as to who I think is going to win. Bookies odds looks like they're favouring England slightly. Not a lot, just slightly. I think Italy are going to score first. And I think it's going to be one of those wingers. I think it's going to be Insigne or Chiesa, personally. If that's the case, like I said, obviously the England clean sheet's gone. But then I do think England are going to come back better in the second half. I think England have the better bench. I feel like we've got better legs. And I feel like we're going to be running them ragged a little bit towards the end. My problem is Italy know how to dig deep. They know how to make sure they dig in the trenches and make sure people can't score goals against them. So it's going to be a tough game. I just hope it's a nice watch, personally. Reddit agreed. Both Italian forwards have been poor. What no graphics? Is it bad luck to wash my lucky pants after the Ukraine match? Yes, it is. If your pants are not dirty watching this game, then you're the reason England haven't won. So that's what I would do personally. Now, this is quite a short stream because obviously, there's only 2 teams to talk about, isn't there? But the most important thing, who out of me and Az is going to be having to get the Phil Foden haircut? And at the moment, I am 5 points clear of Chaz Phillips. Charles Phillips, as he's called in his hometown of Oxfordshire. He is currently 5 points below me, which, I mean, it was never in doubt, really, was it? 5 points is a chasm. He's never going to be making that up. So, tough luck, mate. You might as well get your Phil Foden haircut now. Majid, is this the kind of match that we completely ignore stats? Good question, actually. I would say, yeah, I would probably go with yes a little bit. Because it's one match. It's literally, this is it. This is one match left now. Yes, you can ignore stats, because if ever there's something where it's only one game, that's it. That's all you're thinking about. Anything can happen in it. Would I ignore stats in terms of who is effective in games? No, I wouldn't ignore those kind of stats. But you can pick people that haven't done anything so far in the tournament, and they can become a hero. In the last Euros, it was Eder for Portugal, wasn't it, that came on and scored the winning goal. Nobody would have had Eder in their team. He came on, scored the winning goal, he did nothing in the rest of the tournament. So yes, that kind of thing can happen. Am I going to use one of my transfers on it? Well, you get 5 transfers, so maybe do 4 sensible ones and maybe go 1 differential. Redditor, great stream, mate. Have a good one tomorrow. I will. Make sure you, let me know on Twitter what you're doing tomorrow during the game, because I am not going to be thinking about fantasy football. I'm going to be thinking about the fact England are in a final for the first time in my lifetime. So, I literally can't wait. For everybody out there, we wish you the best of luck. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this for Scout. This is the first thing I've ever done for Scout, doing all these, and I have really, really enjoyed myself. So I will be here doing some more FPL stuff for you in next season as well, and I really, really look forward to it. So for everybody out there, wish you luck. Really, really hope we get the result we want, and I hope it's a really good game.